And when God really showed me what all was coming with my husband, I was like, okay, God, I submit to this. I submit to your will. I submit to the man of God you have sent me. And that's when I came to a point where I want to be married.
Because we both was broken when we started dating. We was just broken in different areas. What she have in her, she was able to put me back together again.
Clap it up. It's been, what, a whole year? A whole year.
1 year.
Married. Jump in the broom and whatnot.
That's hard.
Don't you feel nothing?
He's shy.
How y'all feel about it?
How we feel about it?
Yeah, we're going to do an overall review, and then we're going to get into
Hold on. Fit check.
Hold on. What we got? Y'all all matching today. What is this? Y'all got your
This
own jersey?
is a sweater made by my sister, Renika and Darwin. Crocketts, established 2023. And then we have our children on the sleeve. Shout out to our children. Kamarion, Kamari.
Oh, man.
Bob, CJ, Makeup, Naima. Support black businesses.
Definitely.
Hey, man, I'm rocking with it, man.
Yes, sir.
That's beautiful, y'all. Y'all matching on today. Y'all in love today. We're going to make it happen. So, tell me, how we feeling, man? How we feeling? Like,
Oh, wow.
Just a
Overall,
yeah, just overall, we're going to get into it.
actually, you said it already. Still in love.
That's
That
it.
is,
All day, every day.
after a year, yeah.
All day, every day.
After a year to be still in love, like, I was sitting here thinking right before we started, the transparency of it all, how as women, we shouldn't think so highly of ourselves as if the men don't get tired of us. Because sometimes I find myself asking him, you tired of me? And he'll be like, no, why you keep asking that? Because of my past experience, there was a real thing of someone being tired of me, that they felt like they had to go and seek other attention and do other things. So oftentimes I check in just to make sure, like, you ain't tired of me. You don't need no space. And he be like, why do you think I need space from you? I'm like, I just want to know. Because I'm going to tell you when I'm tired of you.
It be like that, don't it?
That he's still in love with me. He don't get tired of me. He would prefer being around me all day. And I think that comes from the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
When we first began our journey before marriage, it was so important to me that we had a friendship because I lacked that before. And when you have a true friendship, you're able to bounce back quickly, because with friendship there comes the level of forgiveness, understanding, communication, all those things that a lot of people struggle with in marriages or in life, period. I believe when you have the foundation of a friendship, it helps so much. 80% of the time, we are literally laughing. We just love to do that. The other 20%, we ready to cut each other's heads off. You know what they say, when it's good, but when it's bad, it's bad. And so, yeah.
I think that's part of the foundation of our marriage as well. The fact that we do have a friendship. Of course, it's God, but the fact that we laugh like we do, I think that's part of the foundation. That's part of how we, built our marriage as well. So
that was very important, because remember when you were pursuing me and I was running, and when
like Forrest Gump.
Nah, don't do too much.
I'm telling you.
Not too much faster.
My girl was gone.
And when I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a try, I told him, let's work on a friendship first. Because when you're a friend, the Bible says a friend stick it closer than a brother. When you are friends with someone, a friendship can go so long, such a long way. And I didn't even know within this year I have learned that he is so funny. When I tell y'all, on the internet, y'all see me doing the pranks and all types of crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
Y'all don't see the behind the scenes of this man every single day. And the filter. Let's talk about the filter, the old man filter.
Nah, man, you
Don't
wild
do
for
that
this
one.
I like, God, dog, every day.
The reason why this filter is going viral and why I have it on him, because that's how he acts. 24/8. That is him. He has the old, ancient soul, is what I would rather call it. He act old. So I said, you know what, this filter fit right along with his personality, because he's somewhere fussing all the time,
I
grouchy,
guess being me, huh?
being
me.
him, old. So the filter is just, if they could name it Darwin Crockett, that's what it need to be called.
So I say this first year, because a lot of people say the first year is the hardest, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm feeling that it wasn't that hard because of all the laughter and friendship that y'all already established.
Chaplain.
The first year, it wasn't hard, but it was challenging.
Yeah.
You know, some areas it was, you know, a little rough, you know, like challenging, but more so spiritually than anything. Because the enemy was trying his best to allow us to bump heads, more so spiritually, because we connected spiritually first than we did physically.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, I think a lot of our problems come from the spiritual aspect of it, more so than the natural aspect. But within the first year of the marriage, it was, like I said, it was challenging, but it wasn't hard. Yeah, it wasn't, you know, like to the point to where we just thought that it was, that it'll never work between us.
Right.
Yeah.
We knew that, you know, spiritually we had to gain a foundation spiritually in order for us to even make it this far. So.
And I think for me, from the beginning, God spoke quickly for us. Me, myself, he spoke that I was going to get married quickly, but he also gave me provision for my marriage. He showed me that, you know how some people get married in this honeymoon, you know, on the boo-boo stage and all that.
Not the boo-boo.
God told me from the beginning that was not going to be us. Like,
Right.
When y'all get married, it's groundbreaking time. It's like, get married, take off. And the takeoff wasn't financially fame. No, takeoff was, I'm getting ready to launch y'all into ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ready to launch y'all to be a standard, to be a kingdom marriage. And with that, throughout this year, it came with those challenges because God was pruning. He was shaping, he was making, and he was molding, and he still is. But the challenges came because now you are two different people that I'm merging to be one. And because I'm going to send y'all as my blueprint for people in other marriages, y'all going to have to go through these things. And it's not like we've stopped going through some things.
How was it to marry a man with kids?
Well, that wasn't on the agenda. I didn't want to marry no man with no kids. Period.
Not period.
However, our plans aren't God's plans. And I have a long history of taking care of other people's children. Every time you look up, I got somebody's child. And the revelation I was able to receive from that was, it's a certain time period God was sending babies to me as with the anointing that I carry on my life to deposit something into them. But along with it, my pain will come from the parents snatching them away from me. It's like, not to the point people, because I hear people say, you want to be a mama so bad. When that ain't true. I don't know why these babies are drawn to me, or why I know why I have the anointing, let me not say that, but it's just the anointing that I carry for the youth and as a youth advocate. And so it will come with so much pain when the parents would just take them away from me. And I believe that now that I'm on this journey with my babies, I don't like to call them my stepchildren. They're mine. They call me mom. So they're son and daughter. I'm on this journey with them, and the situation that we're having to go through, which is very much toxic, and with our babies being snatched away from us so much, I believe God was preparing me then for now. I believe he was preparing me for knowing how to handle it. Because before I used to get angry and mad, but like just depressed. Why are you taking my baby away from me? I've loved on this child. I've nurtured this child. I've been X, Y, and Z, taking care of them. And so now, I think the other challenging part is seeing my husband as a father have to go through what we're currently going through with this situation. But as a wife, please know, and this is for anybody, he ain't got to say nothing, address nothing. His wife gonna address it as the woman, because I see now from a father's perspective what it's like to fight for your kids, want to be there for your kids, loving your kids since day one, and people will much rather paint you to be the bad person. And for years, we have been trained that it's the father's fault. You the one that ain't absent. You the one that's X, Y, and Z. But I'm seeing it for myself. Like, it ain't all the fathers. Ma'am, Pam, some of y'all is dysfunctional. And I'm trying to grace my words as much as I can. Just don't play with me about mine, because I see what's going on here. I love my babies. We love them dearly. We'll give them the world. Yeah.
How did you, Darwin, how did you feel about knowing that, you know, she didn't have kids, but you did? Was that a insecurity for you, like going in or anything like that? Or you just kind of walked in and see what would happen?
And tell the truth.
I definitely walked in, you know, just trying to see what was going to happen. I mean, you know, it wasn't on my list to date a woman with children or date a woman without children. You know, it was, man, whichever one came first. And of course, she came first. And so, I mean, but I do love the way that she parented my children. Even though I was a parent long before she came in the picture, she actually taught me in other ways how to parent my children. You know, rather not so much as responding out of anger, but responding with love. I've also learned how to discipline my children with love versus coming at them. And she actually taught me more in more being a parent than I actually learned myself, you know, from a certain time frame. It's like the way she came in with authority, you know, tilling the ground with telling me what it is and what it's not. What can I do? What can't I do? How can I make it better? How can I make it better? So it's actually working for the good. Even though it was tough, it's working for the good. You know, she was getting on my nerves sometimes, but you know,
we're not finna do that,
man. But I also think that the toughness, the challenges that came with it is because of how we was raised and our different perspective when it comes to raising children. Mm-hmm. You know, that's where the challenges came in at. But with her perspective and my perspective coming together, it makes it work.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking on perspective, one of the questions I had as you all were talking was, how do you maintain this perspective you all have? And what I'm gathering is, hey, any challenge that you all see, it sounds as if you come together and conclude it's an opposition from the enemy. The devil is doing this, or it's just simply a matter of coming together and you will overcome. A lot of the times we say, oh, if so many things on my list are not working for me, then we're unequally yoked. So my question is, how do you all maintain the perspective of coming together and saying, hey, this is God's will, I'm going to press forward, maintaining that? How do you all do that?
I think one way we are able to maintain that is that first we have to know if it's in God's will or if it's not in God's will, because everything isn't in God's will. So we have to be able to identify that first. And once we're able to pinpoint what it is, then we are able to have a dialogue and talk about it and, you know, like dissect it and even, you know, like just at the end of at the end of our conversation, we ask a question, you know, like, what was your perspective, you know, and what was your understanding? So as long as we are able to see it from each other's perspective and understand each other's perspective, then we are able to maintain it.
which was also, it hasn't always been that way. You know, that's also a growing process because we have two different backgrounds. I was raised to be tough, talk, be bold, talk with your words. I was raised to fight, you know, fight with your words or your fists, get back. And I had to understand that that's not what this was. You know, when it came to confrontation, he was the one like, "No, you just not gonna walk away. Even when you mad, let's talk it out. Even when you upset, let's talk it out." And I was the one that was like, "No, I don't want to talk. Leave me alone. Give me a day or two." And so now it's more so of, and back to like your question to reiterate, I think having that understanding from the beginning, this is God's will. God placed us together. So ultimately, whatever we do and say, we have to bring it back around to what God said concerning you and I. And that's one thing that I keep before me. It helps me to be more forgiving. It helps me to have more grace. It helps me to be more understanding when it comes to conflict and things that we may be challenging. Like, hey, okay, I'll die down to my will and my flesh to hear you. I die down my point of trying to be right or you wrong to hear. And so I think having that understanding from the beginning for me was, this is God's will. God placed us together. So I'm going to always bring it back to what God said.
So, Renika, as a woman that is relatively successful, you are doing things in your life, and I'm gonna come back to you with the opposite of that question, Darwin. A lot of I've seen you in action. A lot of women look up to you. You've done, you know, a pretty significant amount of things in this city with young girls, with women your age.
Mm-hmm.
I even helped some women that are even older than you.
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to humble yourself with all the accolades and all the things that you've done? Because what I've seen, I find it seems like it's hard for a woman that is accomplished and good looking and still young to humble herself and say, "I'm going to listen to a man."
Mm-hmm.
How were you able to do that?
Realizing I ain't all that in a bag of chips. You ain't got it like you want to have it. Yeah, I may have all these things, but it's a woman in me that still cries out for softness. It was I done built all this for myself, but the woman in me was lacking. The woman in me wasn't secure. The self-esteem, the boldness wasn't there. Regardless of what people may see on the outside, this was before, may have seen on the outside, the inside was out of place, all over the place. It was no peace, miserable. And because I knew God had sent this person to me, I know God ain't, gonna do me wrong. I know he not gonna send me just no anybody. And so I had to realize that this is my soft girl era. This right here is my softness. And even if I be honest, I had to repent to my husband at some point because, and was this before marriage? When I think I said this, I told him he was soft. And
I think it was
before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you too soft for me. And when God got a hold of me, come here. And he had to make me realize, no, you're addicted to pain.
Wow.
You're addicted to toxicity. You're addicted to what you have been trained the last 10 years of your life that now that I have something new before you, you can't identify with it until you let go of that. And I had to realize, okay, this is a man that's telling me, I ain't finna do that with you. I ain't finna be fighting. I ain't about to be throwing glasses and scratching windows. And I ain't about to be flat. I'm not about to be doing all that. And I had to repent because you can't make him be what your last situation was. You just can't do that. So you either gonna have to come up or you gonna be out of here because he gonna get rid of you. And I didn't want that. Of course, I didn't want that. I ain't finna let my good thing go. I don't care what nobody say. I done humbled myself down. If he say jump, I'm gonna say how high to a certain extent. But
let me tell you, I'm gonna keep these feet on
Look,
the ground.
the Lord is still working on you. The Lord is still working.
So, I had to also trust. I had to trust that I'm not used to a man being the headship. You know, when you're such a dominant woman, typically, and to stick a pin right there is crazy because we've had this conversation of how is it control or is it bossy? And my husband is used to being in a controlling situation, not with me, just being in a controlling situation that I've had to tell him, babe, I'm so used to doing this by myself and wearing so many different hats that I don't mean to come off controlling. I don't mean to come off like I want to control your every move or I'm just this and that. Sometimes I don't know when to take off the boss hat. I don't know when to say, okay, he ain't your employee. You're going to have to bring it back. This is your husband. And that also comes with a level of humbleness, too. I'm so humble to my husband now. I'm going to give some bark back. He know that.
It's still a year. It's still a year, man. We almost.
So, but ultimately, I'm going to listen. I'm be like, you know what? Okay, you right. Now I'm so in love with this man. Whew.
Oh, man. How did you feel about that, Darwin, when she said that you were weak? And how were you able to come back from that and forgive her?
I honestly forgave her the moment that she said it because I knew she didn't know what she was saying when she said it.
Wow.
You know, and she was only saying it because she wasn't used to to basically what I was bringing to the table. Like she said, she was used to fighting, toxicity, and all that. Even though in ways I had it, you know, like I was dealing with it as well, but I wasn't dealing with none of it. And me not dealing with it, that was her form of weakness. Mm-hmm. And if I had a dealt with it then, she could have looked at it as if me being strong. But nah, because we didn't, you know, this is not what God put this together for. Even though in marriages you're gonna have arguments, you know, little fights here and there and things like that, but God, I ain't put this thing together for that. So I'm like nah. If that's what you want to keep reverting back to, I'm gonna let you go back to it. But my way of showing it is that like, hey, we ain't finna do none of that. So
you saw that smile, she like this. Yes, sir.
I mean, but her,
yeah.
You know, telling me that I'm weak, you know, it just made me come up a little higher. Not saying that I was weak, but it just made me put, you know, a little more authority to it.
So my question would be, where do you believe your strength was in that moment, right? Because what most men would respond with either trying to prove themselves to be strong, to show a level of dominance, which in turn is just kind of falling into the trap of having to prove yourself, which shows insecurity. Where was your strength in that moment, do you think, to be able to say, they know not what they do?
Forgive me.
Man, she just didn't know who she was doing it to. You know, my strength in that moment was honestly just to keep loving her the way that I was loving her. Because if I had loved her differently, then this whole thing could have, you know, it could have went a different direction because of what she was used to.
Yeah.
So the strength that I found in that moment, that I gained in that moment, was not just to love her the way that I was doing, but, you know, to love her more. Love her the way God loves the church. So.
I'm gonna get it light real quick, because that was deep, at least for me. Now, marriage has a lot of funny moments that and by now y'all got at least 10 inside jokes that have happened.
You all right, sister?
It made me emotional.
Good.
What tell me what is one thing that you've really enjoyed that has made you laugh in this marriage? That's that one thing. Okay, so this one time we was on the couch type deal. Like, what is that thing? Like, man, this brings me just so much joy and laughter.
Man, it is so much. I ain't gonna lie to you, it is so hard to choose. Because the way that this woman makes me laugh, I've honestly never experienced it. Like, man. I mean, cause like we do crazy stuff.
We at this point, we known when they go around people, they be like, you gotta watch them because they gonna do something they ain't got no business doing.
Man.
But now, tell me a story. Give me a story, man. I need to know.
What you feel is a funny story? The most funny story. What?
Nah, I think if the funny things just really be them old man filters, really though. Like, and especially this story that when she had the old man filter, I guess she was pranking me for something that was on TikTok or something. She was telling a boring story, but I don't even think that junk was real. Like, that junk was so boring and ridiculous. I was trying to get the point, like okay, like what's the revelation behind it? But it wasn't no revelation behind it. She just had me standing there looking like a fool, trying to.
I could never, like, if only I can stop laughing, I promise y'all the pranks and the videos would be so much better. But I just cannot. I would say for me is, and I haven't uploaded it yet, but I had did a video when I was like, if we was to qualify for our own TV show, what would be the story that we would give? And y'all, I sat in front of that camera and I said, I would talk about how my husband was a crackhead, baby.
You want to smack fire from her face because there was some lies right there.
And I was just like, and then I was just saying, and then when he was little, he broke both his arms and they was hanging like this. When I say that was the funniest for me, even though the waxing was also funny.
Yeah,
He went completely viral with the waxing video when I waxed his chest. He won't let me do it no more.
Man, no.
No. Stuck to that word.
And also the videos with the kids, because our kids are so funny. Actually, our son has his dad's personality all day long. Just when I say the filter is the son too, Filter Jr. need to be his name. And our daughter, Kamari, she more like me. She got her daddy attitude, but her personality is definitely me all day long. And they're just funny. If you can put them in front of a camera, people will definitely watch them.
Man. Yeah, was that an easy transition? Like a blended family? Well, not blended, I guess, but just the kids like being accustomed to being with y'all as a couple.
You said it right. You spoke it into existence. A blended family.
But it wasn't easy though.
It wasn't easy, but my mindset is still, and even if this video was to ever reach her, that goes back to when you said, forgive for they know not what they do. And I truly forgive. I done been called every name in the book.
Except a child of God.
Except a child of God. I've been told that you gonna spit on me and all the time. Them really was fighting words back in the day. You couldn't tell me you was gonna spit on me and I not. Okay. I had a flashback.
Praise God.
Okay. And so, and my husband can testify to this, even my friend. I am actively to this day praying for this person that wants me dead, want me out of the picture completely. And I would say that for anyone that's experiencing being in a toxic, blended family situation, you have to know who you are. Because if not, that person will trigger you. A lot of times when people are responding with hatred, bitterness, unforgiveness, and just being miserable, it be the root of it is pain. And in my husband's defense, he never wanted me to be a part of it. He said that from the beginning. I knew what type of person this was. I never wanted to bring you in it. But my mindset was God brought me to it. God knew I could handle it. And so even to this day, I have a true forgiving heart. Because in the end, you're going to be able to look back and see she was really for me. She was for my kids. She didn't come in to bring harm towards me.
She didn't come in and try to rip me away from my kids or anything like that. That's just not my intentions.
And I think what was so crazy about the story too, man, it's crazy but amazing at the same time, was that the day that I actually proposed to Renika was the day that me and my children's mother had talked about getting married.
What he going to do that for?
I had been knowing her since I was 16. And on and off for of course 10 plus years, and one day we sat on her bed, we talked about getting married. And we was like, we gonna do it next year on your birthday. And so like we sat down, we talked about the colors and everything. But God got his way of doing stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you. God got his way of doing stuff.
So just imagine as a woman how mad you would be, and I would try to say, because I've had plenty of moments to try to tell her, I didn't get him perfect either. I'm not going to ever tell a woman she didn't go through her pain that she went through a person, because that'll be me saying, even with my ex-spouse, he get with the next woman and you feel like what you went through with him don't matter. No, your pain is real. What y'all have for 10 years on and off is very real. I just don't have the same man that you have. And a lot of women should understand it. You went through something with a person. Be okay with you don't have the same man as the next woman. Because the stuff that you made a deal with, I'm just not going to deal with it. And not only that, a different woman bring out something different in another man. And I think that's where a lot of it came from, is how is it that you get with the next woman and you be all that I wanted you to be to the next woman. But you got to be the type of woman that know how to be a boss chick and bring it out of them too. You
or nurture it.
Yeah.
Nurture it. I was finna say somebody had to be, I ain't want to be rated R. What's down there in your hips and thighs, I ain't gonna get. You got to know how to get in the trenches with a man. When I first got with my husband, and to be honest, he didn't come with nothing but a car. He didn't come with a job, money. But I saw something deeper. I saw, I can make this man into something. I can birth something out of this man. Not only he was fine, good looking, all that. Now all the women everywhere he go can't stop complimenting him. The old people and all. But I knew when I saw him, I could make somebody this man.
When you, Darwin, saw Renika, what did you see? Right? She just mentioned what she saw and what she could birth in you and what she could help mate you in. Mm-hmm. What was something that you was like, as Christ did for the church, washing her with the water of the word, X, Y, and Z. What was something that you saw that you could give to the relationship?
I saw exactly who she is now.
Mm.
The first thing that I saw was a wife. But I also saw someone that was hurt too. I've been through some of the same kind of hurt that she's been through, but she probably been through it worse than I have. But the things that she needed to be healed in, the things that needed to be mended back together again, I had that in me for her. I'm not going to say that I'm the reason she's healed. I'm going to say that I'm a part of the reason that she's healed. Mm-hmm. God had already given me the tools that was needed, the tools that was necessary for her healing. And with us what makes this story even better is that two broken people came together and made something whole. Because we both was broken when we started dating. We was just broken in different areas. I was because of a situation that me and my children's mother had went through. I think it was maybe like the year before. And in ways that has broken me as a man, because that was never my characteristic. And what she have in her, she was able to put me back together again.
How were you able to distinguish between the strong woman you experienced before and now the one Renika, who is your wife, how did you make that distinction? Why didn't that run you away?
I think the best way to describe that is, yes, they both was pushing me, but pushing me in two different directions. My last situation, she was pushing me into someone who I wasn't called to be, versus now I am being pushed into someone who's God called me to be. And that's the difference between that, the difference between the pushes. My last situation, she was pushing me into trying to become a thug, like she wanted to see me with my pants hanging low, all that, like all that. But this type of push is pushing me into success, into someone who's been called to a greater level, greater standard, It's just the differences between the push. They both was pushing me. It's just that she was pushing me towards evil and she's pushing me towards success.
Every now and then I want a little thug now.
You gotta pray for that.
Don't pray for a thug. Pray for King David. Because he cut people head off.
It'd be so funny because a lot of times when stuff hits the social media, they automatically be knowing this her doing. How thing going. He ain't do that. She did it.
So I'm hearing comments, okay? I'm asking the Lord to instill some prophetic powers upon me. So the comment section I hear is, okay, why weren't you able to be the man you were supposed to be before meeting Renika? Like, did you have to have a woman to push you, or is it? I hear pushback for that response.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes I try not to go spiritual, but I can't help but to.
Hey, it is what it is.
And I say that because in all that God has created, it was only one thing that he said that wasn't good, and that was for man to be alone. So he created Eve as an helpmate. She didn't just help him in a garden, but a helpmate is not only called to help you in the garden. A helpmate is also called to help you become who God has called you to be. And that's exactly what it was with her and I. She was the helpmate. She helped me in a lot of situations. So, I mean, like, honestly, I don't think I know I'll be in the predicament that I am today, but so much as far as at a greater level, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for her.
What made it different? What makes your marriage right now different from the previous marriage in regards to being the pusher and the inspirer?
The difference is the willingness to want to be pushed. I was used to someone where, here, I got it for you in my hand. Just take it and run with it. I got you. Versus someone now like, okay, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to listen and I'm going to take heed to it. Versus someone just also taking advantage of the fact that you're such a giver. The fact that you're giving so much and using it for their own advantage, but not using it for the fact that, okay, this is the vision of the house, or this is the vision for the success that we are needing to bring into the marriage. Versus I now have someone, and spiritually, of course, because in my last situation, spiritual was not something that we had in common. Versus now, because my husband honors the God over our life and our marriage, it's going to always go back to the spiritual aspect. Okay, if God is calling us to it, I don't have the right to say no. I don't get to say no, even if it's through my wife. I don't get to say no if God said it. And I think that's what helped. That's definitely what helps the push. Now, how we articulate it is different. Because sometimes us women, we can come off with a bark and a bite that it'll shut the man down. And I had to learn that. You can't come off to where it's triggering him. You got to know the love language for him. You got to know how to speak to your man. You got to know how to speak to those parts in your man that, okay, I'll move. Because the worst thing that you want to experience is you saying something and it don't move him, but the next woman to say the same thing and it do. That's not something that I wanted, and I've actually experienced it with him, and I was just like, no, we ain't, God, work on me. Work on me so that my man won't feel like he got to go and listen to somebody else to give him the same instructions that I've already given him. And so I think that's what helped to push to me also knowing how to word my words, how to come off, what to say, what not to say, but also him being willing and honoring the God in our marriage to trust me.
You mentioned earlier that you came to a point in the marriage where you wanted to be married. Mm-hmm. And before I say my piece, and what do you mean by that? You came to a place where you wanted to be married. And how did you get to that place?
Well, in all honesty, it's not like I hadn't gotten to a point where I questioned God, because it was a lot dealing with the children for me, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do it. And so it wasn't until country I had God showed me. I prayed, I went up in the spirit, and God showed me everything that was coming with this man. He showed me, because like the old saying, you don't get married to one person, you get married to multiple people. And when God really showed me what all was coming with my husband, I was like, okay, God, I submit to this. I submit to your will. I submit to the man of God you have sent me. And that's when I came to a point where I want to be married. I want this person. Whatever I got to do to make it work with this person, I'm going to, if that means to die down to self, apologize, be the bigger person, say, hey, I'm wrong, you right, even when you ain't wrong, still say they right, because he think you know everything.
So your submission was an act of will and strength, not weakness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because that's you saying, even along the journey or ahead, I don't know what's to come, but I submit to this. I submit to us and what we have, our union. Now I'm able to unconditionally look at my husband, even in difficult situations, arguments, or hard times, and have that those butterflies, or that I still love you. I ain't going nowhere. Where you going?
It's very interesting you said that. Because I think a lot of people argue like, oh, the reason why I'm not attracted to you anymore is because of something you didn't do, but from what you just said, because you submitted and did a heart transformation in you, he didn't have to do much. You did the work, and Christ rather did the work in you,
right? And
then out of the work of your submission came the affection towards him.
Absolutely.
So would you then be? So does that mean like, I mean, he's a great guy. He's a great husband. So like most of the attraction and stuff that people may lose over time, I mean, y'all fairly new, but y'all been through a lot.
So year one was a lot. It seemed like it was hit after hit, and I was just like, woo, God. But he had to bring me back to when he said it was groundbreaking. Yeah. How can you minister to other marriages if you don't go through these challenging things? Because even after a year having to go through so much, it could have been easy to say, you know what, we could just go get an annulment and go on about our life. You go back to where you were, and I go back to how I was living. But we knew that it's souls connected to this. It's other marriages connected to the Crocketts. And if we don't overcome what it's like to be a toxic blended family, what it's like to you come in the picture with nothing, but I come in it with everything, or you have more so of a softness when it comes to just knowing how to love and be affectionate in a woman that's used to being hardcore. A lot of people don't know the balance. They don't know what it's like to want to be married, stay married, doing what it has to do, the qualifications, the standard, what all comes with I do. It's not just words. It's not just vows. in spite of what you're coming with and what I'm coming with, I do to you and the rest of yous.
Man, before we get out of here today, give us some final thoughts final thoughts and a prayer in regards to marriage.
Yep. Encouraging words to married folks from a man's perspective.
From a man's perspective, in all that you do, please seek God first. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will direct your path. That's the spiritual aspect of it. But the natural is, be careful with choosing who you want to spend the rest of your life with. And I say that because either a woman is going to bring you up or she's going to bring you down. You're going to fight, you're going to argue. Please, so expect it. You know, but when it all boils down to it, make sure you are loving her the way that God loves the church. Even when you are arguing, love her. When y'all are fighting, love her. Physically, love her. Financially, love her. Love her the way that God needs you to love her. And just do what you can. Be who you've been called to be. And that's a husband.
As a married woman, I will say focus a lot on you. Your response, how you handle things, how you perceive things. You want to make sure that you respond from a place that resonates with your husband. I know how to lose a husband, and I'm learning how to keep a husband. It's a difference. And you want to be mindful of those things. Because men, they seek, and they gonna find. You want to make sure that he's always seeking for you. And when he seeks for you, he's finding something that he won't even have to go and look for it nowhere else. Not only that, I want to speak to blended families that may be going through a difficult time. That goes back to, as women, if you know you're going to be with this man and you're going to love his kids and you don't plan on going nowhere, as hard as it may be the bigger person at all times. Now that comes with a greater level of maturity. You have to be, it's more spiritual. You have to recognize the spirit that's in place. You have to recognize the warfare. And you have to understand that just as Jesus has an agenda for y'all, the devil too.
Mm-hmm.
But God's agenda overrides it all. And because you have that level of understanding, it'll help you take on what's coming with it. It'll help you take on the disrespect. It'll help you take on, okay, nah, don't make me drag you. But to love a person. Now that's spiritual. In the natural, I would say, be intentional about dating, building your man up, learning. Listen. A lot of us don't listen. Listen when your man is talking and he's saying certain things, because a lot of times we be like, he don't talk to us, but he be saying it in little areas in life. It could be in small arguments, or it could be in small talk where your man is like, for instance, now it's with him, you be on your phone a little too much. Or we got this pillow. His mama gave me a pregnancy pillow. She gave it to me, not him, loud and clear. And the pillow is so big that it now takes up room for my husband cuddling with me at night, versus I would much rather be in the pillow, because the pillow it swallows me. And my husband must have said the other night, out of nowhere, I don't even get to cuddle with you no more. But to me, I could have heard it as in, gone on, you doing too much. No, what I heard was, okay, this pillow is becoming a problem. Your husband wants to cuddle with you at night. He want to be up under you at night. So fix it. Be okay with fixing it. Being a bigger person, even in your marriage with your spouse. Want to be married. Don't say I do just to be saying it and because it looks good. Social media is making it a relationship goal. No, marriage is work. every single day, marriage is work. But when you want to be married and you love your person beyond all the flaws, beyond what it's coming with, you do what needs to be done to make it work. And that's some encouragement that I would naturally, both spiritually and naturally, go hand in hand. Naturally, ain't nobody perfect. We ain't sitting here acting like we perfect to this day. Cause I have my days where I just be wanting to go off, put my hands on it, all that. That's the old me be trying to come back in. Yeah. But that's in the natural. You ain't gonna always have it right. You ain't gonna always do things right. Like, in my last marriage, I was so focused on the image of when I step in front of people, what I look like. Ooh, let me make sure they don't see what I'm going through. No, this time around, no. This is real life. This is what we going through. This is what we growing through. This is marriage. And I'm not trying to be perfect. No, I ain't trying to be perfect, Patty. You get on my nerves sometimes.
Duh.
You make me want to wring your neck sometimes. But I love you. And I ain't going nowhere. Your kids is ratchet. Just like you. So.
Man, wow. Oh, man.
The only way a marriage can last is if you know why you're married. If you that couple to get married just to say, hey, I got a wife, or hey, I got a husband, you already married for the wrong reason.
Even though it's so fresh between here and now, we have had hardships already. But because our foundation is faith, and because we are being obedient to God, it has to work.